Okay, we're here today with
Shit Kickers.
the Shit Kickers.
There we go.
We are here with Joey Esposito and Andrea Schiavone, who
Hello.
are the collaborators on Shit Kickers, a new independent series that is really a lot of fun. I've had a good time reading number one. You've read number one and two, right?
Yes,
yeah.
I have.
So yeah, it's a lot of fun. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you for having us. It's good to be back in the basement.
You have a distinction, Joey. I'm going to start making awards. So we're going to do like a 5-timer, like Saturday Night Live. If you're on 5 times, you get like an award from us.
Yeah, we'll send you like a blazer or something.
Can I get a cool bathrobe 5 timers?
Yeah.
Joey's actually the only person so far to come back for a second time, I guess is
Yes.
bad in some way. I don't know.
If there's one thing that I like, it's overstaying my welcome.
That's good. So tell us about Shit Kickers, how it came about, where the ideas come from, and what we can expect.
You guys are an international team because Andrea, you're in Italy, and Joe, you're here in America, New England,
for better or worse. So this all came together during COVID. We started working on this. I think Andrea pointed out to me the other day that our first meeting was January 7th, 2021. So It was like, I think a lot of that is in the book, as you'll see, as it deals with a lot of fascism and all that kind of stuff. So I hadn't put that together until we were talking about it recently, but I was like, oh yeah, I see that now. But yeah, it has started because I was looking for an artist to collaborate with on a different idea entirely, and Andrea sent his stuff, and I was just gobsmacked by it, and it wasn't the right fit for the other project, but I immediately thought of this idea that I had been kicking around for Shit Kickers, and knew that his style would be perfect, and luckily he was into it, and we were off to the races.
Yeah, I gotta say, Andrea, I really like the art.
Yeah,
I really am enjoying it.
Thank you.
Reminds me of some of the, like here in America, we were able to get some European stuff, and it does remind me of something I would have seen in sort of 2000 AD or heavy metal.
Thank you. That's a big compliment.
Well, yeah, I mean it as a compliment because I really did. I love those stories from those books. Yeah, so yeah, it reminded me of something that would have been serialized in heavy metal or 2000.
Thank you.
Yeah, I really
It reminds me of Scud.
Scud, yeah, yes, it does.
I'm so glad that you said that, because that's in our you might enjoy this if you're fans of blah blah blah, and Scud is an example that I gave for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, just seeing his style, and then especially as we started working on the book itself, and when we brought Sabrina Filieri, our colorist, on board, I think they just have created a really magic visual aesthetic for this world that I'm so pumped about.
So you're crowdfunding it, right? And who's publishing it? It's your company?
It's my imprint called Soup Dad Comics that we're crowdfunding through Zoop. And if you're not familiar with Zoop, it's basically like a Kickstarter platform, except it's for indie comics specifically.
Okay.
So there's a lot of great independent work that's on there, or creator-owned work and they're really helpful in terms of building the campaign and getting the word out and helping deal with the vendors and stuff. So it was just really, it came together nicely in terms of running a crowdfunding campaign without it taking over our lives.
Yeah.
So we still have 10 days as we're recording this, and about $600 left, I think. So, it's getting down to the wire, getting a little anxious, but I feel like I'm not worried about it. We have incredible covers from Declan Shalvey and Seth DeMoose as variants for issues 1 and 2.
Declan Shalvey one is awesome.
Yeah, we're really excited about it. So grateful that they agreed to do it. And then plus Andrea's beautiful covers. We've got an art print. We've got digital avatar commissions. I'm doing script reviews. So got a lot to offer, and hopefully this will fund issues 1 and 2. And
so go over to Zoop right now and...
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, please throw some money at Shit Kickers because I want to see
even just like $1. That's cool with me.
Yeah.
And you can read the first issue for free on Global Comics if you want to check it out before you commit.
It's worth the read.
Thank you. So Zoop.com is where people should go, right? Look for Shit Kickers on there. And then Global Comics, go there, globalcomics.com, and look for Shit Kickers. You can read issue 1 for free. And
totally free.
You will be into it. Trust me.
We'll put a link in the description so you can link right to Zoop and to reading the first issue. It's definitely worth it. It's, we should be supporting independent comic book.
Oh, absolutely. Right. It's funny, before you let me know about this, I didn't know about Zoop.com. I'd never heard of it. And then when I went there to look at what was there, I was astounded. It was awesome. Like,
there's a lot of cool stuff.
Really, it's to support indie comics, and that's not an easy thing to do these days,
Yeah. Kickstarter is great. They have a great community. I've used them before, but I do feel like sometimes there's it's just so much.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like Zoop is a little bit more curated. Their reach is smaller, but I think, for example, my friend Ron Mars, and he had a creator-owned book called Shinku with Lee Moder at Image. This was probably 15 years ago. It was awesome. It's a vampire samurai book, and Lee passed away some time ago. And now I just saw that Ron is doing a Zoop edition of that series with unseen artwork and all this sort of thing. So I feel like Zoop is a great platform for projects like that. They're passion projects, creator-owned passion projects that maybe don't have a home at a traditional publisher because it's a little niche or the creator is unknown, whatever it might be. And Zoop offers a great alternative option. The reason I became aware of it was for Jason Copeland's Full Tilt. He's an artist that I really loved and respected for a long time, and he had been posting about his journey of creating this massive graphic novel for years, and that I've just followed on the internet. And then he launched it on Zoop as a beautiful hardcover. I think it was funded in the day, and then talking to him about Zoop and the experience, he was really positive. So that was sort of behind our decision to work with them.
That's great. That's great. Yeah. And again, I want to urge everyone to go check out Zoop.com if you don't know about it. It's got a lot of cool stuff there. A lot of really, really cool stuff. I was reading up on some of the background stuff that you guys talked about, an interview that you did online. And you mentioned something about Starship Troopers being an influence on Shit Kickers.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I just want to talk about. I'm just throwing that out there because I want to talk about Starship Troopers.
Sure,
freaking love that movie so much, and I'm a fan of the writer who wrote the novel, Robert Heinlein.
Mm-hmm.
But if you read the novel's a little problematic.
Oh, really? I've never read it.
Yeah, it almost reads like fascism for young readers.
Interesting.
It's almost, the movie is almost a parody of the book.
That makes the movie even better.
Which makes the movie great. Yeah, which made the movie so much better. Imagine all the stuff they were joking about with fascism in the movie.
Yeah.
That was serious in the novel.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, I remember reading it as a teenager and being like, I felt weird afterwards.
Yeah, that's very strange.
But the movie was done so well, the Paul Verhoeven movie.
Well, I think Paul Verhoeven, we were talking about this recently, he's able to nail that satirical, even RoboCop. It's it's so cutting, but also very funny.
Oh yeah.
And I love that about his work.
Right. And I mean, you have to have a certain kind of sense of humor to really get the jokes. Starship Trooper, the whole thing with Doogie Howser dressed as an SS officer at the end, and just so bizarre. Now since you said that's an influence on this, I'm very curious because I read the first issue and I see hints of it. Is there going to be more of that as the series goes on? That's sort of poking fun at this fascist idea.
Yeah, I would say the sort of secondary narrative that we have of the sort of Silver Age style comic books is a through line of propaganda.
Yes.
That we'll see how that impacted Dylan, our main character, specifically in his decision to become a space cop, but also how that is propaganda, and maybe that, what the CPB, the Cosmic Protection Bureau, is presenting to citizens is different from what the reality is.
Yeah, and you see that a lot in the first issue with the propaganda that he
the comic
sees,
book,
and
yeah.
then,
Yeah.
So where did the idea for the CPB come from? Is that directly from Starship Troopers, or yeah?
I mean, it's a mix of like just the Green Lantern Corps or Starship Troopers, or sort of just like any sort of intergalactic peacekeeping organization. That how can an organization that covers thousands of planets rule by anything but fascism, even if they're presenting something otherwise, as we've seen in countless sci-fi media. So it's just sort of like using that as sort of a familiar trope, and then playing off of that, I think.
And it's definitely a timely thing because we're seeing the rise of authoritarianism.
Yeah, it wasn't intended that way.
Well, it's been since 2001.
But it's a welcome coincidence, that's for sure.
It's
2021.
It's fitting right now, right? So it's fitting in right now. So
yeah. I mean,
can you actually be honest with me and just, is Shit Kickers just a platform so you're going to release Space Cop at some point? That's what you're doing, really?
I mean, I would read
just
that.
Springboarding it for Space Cop.
I would love to draw that, Joey.
I think they're, because I also imagine that in the Space Cop comic within the world, like there are the propaganda ads that we're seeing, but I also imagine there's like more narrative adventures. So, I think that it could be fun to explore that, or even in a future crowdfunding campaign, maybe there's an exclusive like mini comic that's just the Space Cops issues.
I love how you have it as the Green Lantern cover.
Yeah.
That was a nice little nod to what you're doing, to the core.
You know what I kept thinking of too as I was reading Shit Kickers? I don't know if either one of you ever heard of this series. There was a series in the 80s I think it was from Epic, called Alien Legion.
I haven't read this.
Oh, yeah. It was like, it was sort of like the Foreign Legion, but in space. And all these different aliens all sign up for this war. And it was kind of, for its time, the early 80s, it was sort of a brutal look at like what warfare would be like in space.
Yeah.
And it was done in a very sort of gritty style in the early 80s. I don't know if you remember Epic Comics. It was an offshoot of Marvel that did sort of edgier stories. So they had like Dreadstar on Epic, and Alien Legion was another one. If you ever get a chance to check it out, it's really a well-done series.
That's cool.
Yeah, and way ahead of its time, I think. I think it was a little too ahead of its time. It's the reason it didn't last very long.
Yeah.
Maybe made it 2 years, 3 years at the most.
That's always the way when things are just like a little too early.
Yeah. And you can see how Brian gets really deep into the comics, and all I'm waiting for is for one of you to say, blasting dicks off one scumbag at a time. The only thing I want to hear.
Yeah, it's true. I've been going a little high-minded with things, but you do have a lot of talk about shooting penises.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is like, I think that this book is Looney Tunes, it's cartoon violence, it's very silly and crude.
But for adults.
But for adults, lots of cursing, lots of dick blasting. But like, I think if it was only that, it would be, I mean, it's pretty juvenile, but if it was only that, it would be very juvenile. But I think like presenting, anti-fascist ideas and exploring all that kind of stuff and the characters, underneath sort of the surface level cursing and jokes and all that stuff. I think that is what makes it more appealing to me to write. So, you're talking about the book that you're talking about, or it sounds like it's really like a gripping take on fascism, and I don't think that we're that, but doing it in our own silly way, I hope.
Yeah, but the silliness adds another layer to it, which I think it works even better
I think
than it would be if it had been like a dour sort of like look at like fascism and we should be worried about that.
Yeah, I think like something I think about a lot is like, and there's problems with them through a modern lens in general, but like some of the old that I used to watch all the time, just like old Looney Tunes.
Oh yeah,
like dealing with Nazis and stuff, and it's just like they make them fucking clowns. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's a great approach, and that's sort of the approach that we're taking, is just like pulling back this macho bullshit that they like to present, and be like, actually, they're just like such losers and dorks and dweebs. You know, and that's something that those old Bugs Bunny cartoons would do all the time that I loved. And so I think that's kind of maybe where the seeds of this started for me.
Yeah. And that's a better way to reach people, I think, in a lot of ways. It's less preachy, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
And like, I always loved, do you remember the Three Stooges did a thing about Hitler and Mussolini?
Oh, I've never seen that.
Oh my God. Curly is dressed as Mussolini. And instead of the medals being on his chest, they're all on his ass. Every time he turns around, there's just a layer of medals covering his ass. And it was one of the funniest. It's like, it's such a juvenile joke, but it works so well.
Yeah.
What, you purposely bringing up old Italian leaders on this?
No, I'm just bringing it back
saying.
because we were talking about.
We have our first Italian artist here, and there you go with the
with the what?
Oh, I don't mind. I don't mind that at all.
Never. So how does the process work between the two of you, since Joe, you're here in the States, and Andre, you're over in Italy? How is the communication, and how is the working going together?
I'll let Andre take this one.
Yeah.
Okay, well, for the most part, we do exactly this. Joey sends in some scripts that is ironed out for a few weeks, and I look at it, I read it carefully, look for references, draw some layouts and some storyboards, and then we have a video chat, and we've been doing this since the very beginning, which is probably why Shit Kickers has evolved as quickly into what you've been reading, and as it probably justifies the juvenile nature of it all, because really we connected again over the internet, we connected through our video chats, and by really working face to face in a way for as much as it is possible really on this book, we really got more and more in touch into our inner child, if you will, Joy, and we really started having some fun with this book. So we really have these chats that have really come to treasure, and we usually throw ideas and we bounce ideas off each other. We talk story points, we talk designs for new characters or new places that we might be visiting for the new issue at hand. And after that's done, I just return to my cave and toil away until the issue is drawn, and I can pass it on to coloring and lettering, really.
That's that. It's funny because if you think about it, if we didn't have this technology, it would. How would it work? Like, I guess people used to work through the mail, right?
The mail, long distance phone calls,
next to each other.
Yeah.
But I have this. No, I'm talking about like people in different countries, because
I know.
Yeah, there have been international collaborations.
Yeah,
before. It's just this has added a different
makes it easy
layer to it.
I think the phone companies used to be happier about it.
Right.
This is so much easier.
Would have costed us a lot more, that's for sure.
Yeah. Andre, how'd you get into comic books? Because again, we talked to a lot of American creators. Yeah. We've had a few international creators, but I think Italy might be new for us.
Italy is new for us.
Yeah. So what was it in Italy that, how does that work?
Well, mostly cartoons, I believe, which would also explain my art style and my artistic choices in a way. So I've known about Batman and Spider-Man for as long as I can remember. I was actually way younger and very in my early life when the animated series came out, Batman animated series, and also Saban's Spider-Man. So those two were my main point of contacts with American comics and American characters, and of course then all the rest. So the Fantastic Four, Iron Man, the Hulk, Superman, the animated series. So those really got me in touch with the world of American comics tangentially. As for my comic book reading, I've mostly, and again, this justifies and explains a lot about me, I've mostly been reading Disney comics produced in Italy for the longest time when I was way younger and in my early years as a reader. And I only got into American comics by the time I was probably in middle to high school, really, and in my uni years. So that came a bit later. And again, that probably is the reason why I am the way I am. Yeah, American comics have actually gotten way easier to get in the most recent years, especially since we have had a publisher, Panini, who has both rights for both Marvel and DC. So right now they are published under the same brand, and it's gotten way easier and way easier to get them and way more reliable, really, as a source of comics. As for doing comics as a job, that's something that started very early. So I've been drawing all my life. I learned how to draw before I learned how to write and read. And I've been doing it ever since. And again, it's around my high school years that I really started thinking about doing this as a career, taking this seriously as a job. So I went to a comic school. I taught there for 10 to 11 years, I believe, once I graduated. And then, right on top of the pandemic, so as COVID hit, I again went into my cave and I never went out again. And I've really been working my ass off ever since doing this.
Well, who are some of your favorite characters in comic books?
Well, I mean, it's Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern, the OG Green Lantern. I mean, if you're not counting Alan Scott, that's for sure. And I mean, some other characters, I think, Daredevil, The Thing, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. There are a few, really. But if we're talking about my absolute favorite character, the one that I would read anywhere I could get, it's really Hal Jordan.
Nice.
Okay, that's good.
We have a friend who is one of the biggest Green Lantern fans we've ever met. We've actually had him on the show. He's literally bought every single comic the Green Lantern has appeared in. Not just his own comics, but if Hal Jordan shows up in the background, he buys it. It's like he's such a fanatic.
But when in Italy,
much of a fanatic, really.
When you were younger in Italy, did you get individual issues, or did you get those?
Are they like anthologies?
Anthologies where you have a whole bunch of stories in there, and it's not continued the next month, and it's kind of hard to keep track of what's going on.
Like Marvel UK was like anthologies with they would cut up monthly stories into weekly stories. Is that the way?
That's pretty much that's pretty much the idea here too. Panini has been doing that for the longest time. So I think by the time the Bryan Singer X-Men movies came out, I started reading X-Men just because I found by chance an issue at a newsstand here, and I think it was maybe 3 different storylines taken for 3 different American series that were cut up and stitched together in a book. And it's all much fancier than it might sound. Actually, it's a cool way to read them because you actually had a way fatter book than you would get in the United States, for example. So we didn't get just 20 pages a month. No, we actually got around 40 to 50 pages, which is great, really, for the price that you're actually paying. But that also sort of informs my approach to reading comics today. So I'm not a big fan, and I know Joey here won't agree with me, I'm not a big fan of floppies and monthly comics. So even today, when I want to read something, just buy the trade. I just wait for the trade and buy those. But just because I find it a bit more rewarding, but that's really the European in me talking. So we approach this kind of thing in a different way, I guess, and that's the way I like it.
Yeah, I'm similar to that. I buy a few places here and there, but I prefer getting trades because he disagrees with me because I like to have more of the story at once. You know? Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
I think this is
disagree.
Yeah, I'm with you. I and this is true of TV also and the binge model, and but not to say I don't read trades. I have a whole bookshelf. I love them, but also it's my favorite part of, I guess, specifically superhero comics, but also creator-owned comics that have a really compelling narrative month to month, or just a great TV show. I like to be left on a cliffhanger and then stew in it and think about it, talk to friends about it until and kind of like anticipate the next episode. That being said, I love a good binge. Sometimes, like yesterday was a snow day, just like binged a bunch of TV, but that's fun. But the serialization of comics is something that I'm really passionate about, and like I think is very important. Though I totally understand the trade waiting mentality as well.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
just like,
and it's not even binging, man. It's just that I like to be able to read more if I want to read more that night. It's really that.
Right.
So I don't need the answers. Also, if we're talking about superhero comics, that can go on for a couple of years, 3 years now.
Yeah.
So that's at least 3 to 4 trades, maybe. One trade won't do it. One trade won't give you the whole story. But it's really about, I'm not sleepy yet. I want to read a couple of more pages. I want to see where this is going. So I might read those, and that's it. Whereas a floppy, I don't know, man.
but then you get to like, okay, well, I read this one. This one's done. I'm excited. I'm going to pick up this next one.
Yeah, to me, that feels more like binging than actually buying and reading a trade.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that leads more people toward trades too, I think these days, is that writers, especially in mainstream comics, are writing for trades. They're not really giving a full story per issue, or at least a substantial chapter per issue. They're writing and planning the storyline, it seems to me, with the intention of there being a trade eventually.
Right.
That's everything. That's everything nowadays. Because in the past, we would get TV shows where that you could watch one episode of Happy Days, and it would be just one episode. Yeah. Now I don't think there's a show on TV where there's not it's a continuing story. Even sitcoms, it's a continuing story, and I think comic books followed suit. We're much
probably
higher brow readers, where we want to see how a character develops over time, and we don't just want to see, the Superman fight some crazy villain, and then next week we don't ever talk about that again, and then next month it's a whole nother thing. And Andrea, to what you're saying, how you take it to bed and you read, you take a Spider-Man comic, the graphic novel, to bed and you read it. I take like 3 or 4 different comics to bed, and I go through my 3 or 4 different comics and before I sleep. And I am a monthly guy through and through. I rarely ever buy trade paperbacks. I'm
interesting.
Like this. Every week I have a stack. My wife wants to kill me. The comic shop loves me.
Yeah, of course. See, like that's my thing, is like I love the ritual of it. I love fuck yeah, it's Wednesday. We're going to the store. I'm gonna get a coffee on my way. I'm gonna hang out at the store for a little bit, get lunch. Like it's become a whole thing.
Back when I was people that don't drink.
Yeah, when I was
they just fry on it.
Like back in in college, I was working at a coffee shop, and I was just like, Wednesdays can't work, not available that day, and that would be the day. Like get my tips and go spend those tips on my weekly pull. But I will, if there's a series that I'm really into that I'm buying in floppies, I will, get the trade or wait for a really nice hardcover or collection or whatever, because that's, if I'm rereading it, that's typically how I'll do it. And the single issues just kind of go in a box, or I'll give them to somebody or whatever. So, it's like getting your weekly fix, but then also sometimes you find something that you want around for a long time, and those are the things that I'll add to the bookshelf.
Yeah, that space becomes an issue, of course.
Yeah, for sure.
For me anyway, like I am right now pretty much out of room for monthly, and I got to start culling the collection.
Yeah,
but trades, you buy a bookshelf, put them on a bookshelf, and if it's something you want to keep. I understand what you mean. Yeah, something you're going to reference later,
I have
in some way.
I have 10 file cabinets right in front of us right now that are filled from front to back with.
It's impressive.
Monthly comics, and
I love that. That's my ultimate goal.
I also go every weekend to some kind of show of some sort and buy a ton of back issues. So I'm rebuilding my collection from when I was a kid. So
yeah, Chad might be supporting the entire comic industry single-handedly at this moment.
Hey, you know what? Someone's got to do it.
I wonder why everybody smiles when they see me walk into a convention. There he is.
Back to just for a minute, back to Italian comics. Andrea, would you
Yeah.
recommend any Italian comics that Americans would not have heard of? Is there anything you'd recommend like an American reader should check out from Italy, whether current or past or whatever?
Do you have
Well,
any comics
actually,
like that? Is there a
you know,
comic
production of comics production here in Italy is actually alive and well. So we have a ton of comics that are produced here locally that employ local artists and all. And some of those artists, some of those very same artists actually work on American comics as well. So we just all over the place again, and we're probably gonna annex Staten Island sooner or later. So,
Fantastic.
yeah. As far as I think very recently there's a book that's come out, which is a crossover between Batman and Dylan Dog, which is a horror.
I know Dylan Dog.
Yeah. So there's a very recent crossover. I think it's come out in the United States last year. So you should be able to actually find it in the show.
Andre, I could reach like 5 feet in front of me and pull it out right now. It's literally sitting in a file cabinet right in front of me. Dylan Dog.
Right.
I thought it was great. The series was great.
Yeah,
Wasn't there a
yeah,
movie?
and
Didn't they try an American movie for Dylan Dog too? At one point?
there are a couple of
Brandon
movies.
Routh, right?
What- Yeah, that's the first one. There's
Yeah.
a second one, but I can't really remember now how long ago it came out and if it was an international production. But yeah, Dylan Dog is one of the comics from that are produced in Italy that I usually go back and read. And going back to the floppies versus trade argument, a monthly issue of Dylan Dog is actually 90 pages long, and that's a monthly.
Oh,
And yeah, it's it's a monthly publication. It's still going on, and they have a couple of different series. So there's one which is a bit more modern, so they have smartphones and all, and others which still go back to the route of the character that are deeply seated into the 80s, really. So it's a character that was born in the 80s, I think 86, and he lives in London, and it's a constant homage to classic horror movies, as from both the American and the Italian or European tradition. So it's really horror-y, splattery. There's monsters, psychedelics, and there's a lot of that stuff that's very, very cool.
That sounds
And I believe it's one of the strongest publications that we have here right now, or at least it's one of my favorites for sure. But in general, all the Bonelli produced comics here in Italy. So Tax Wheeler, which is a Western, and you've got Marty Mister, which is pretty similar, I guess, to Dylan Dog, but is a sort of a teacher and an archaeologist doing some work in the fields of ancient aliens and something like that. So there's quite a few characters under this brand that are really, really cool. And I know that Dylan Dog was published in, I believe they had even some Mike Mignola covers back in the day by Dark Horse. But yeah, some of those might have jumped the Atlantic. And yeah, the Batman crossover was a cool one. It's got some incredible art in it. And it's a cool little story. It's a cool little homage to both series tradition, really.
awesome! I'm gonna look it up. Thank you.
It was worth it. It was
That's
really
great.
good.
I'm gonna check it out.
Great
Yeah.
Batman in it.
Yeah. Any comics for Giallo fans?
I'm sorry?
Any comics for Giallo fans? I'm a huge fan of Giallo movies.
There's Bonelli still produces some of those too. So you have a few series like I don't know much about it because I've never really read it, but there's Julia, which too is a kind of it's got this Giallo vibes, and then there's some more indie stuff. Some publishers that have started with, becoming a bit more available in recent years that have some anthologies too. But I don't think those will ever get out of Italy.
No.
I mean, they're very small publisher, they're very indie at the moment.
Dave, you gotta go to Italy.
I gotta go to Italy. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to Italy, but we're only going there to look for Giallo comics.
Now, do you have comic shops there? It's like we have here. We have.
Yeah. Of course we do.
So
Yeah, I mean they've been really appearing all over, and one just opened last summer here in my town, 5 minutes from where I am. So really,
Those are going away. We're getting less and less
They
as
were losing.
time goes on.
No, they've actually become a bit more widespread, and especially here when I live in the south. So over the past years, we had a couple, I believe, in the big city that I have a few kilometers away. But bookstores also have started selling comics a lot in past years. So again, that's where my passion for trades comes from. And we have a lot of publishers that actually just sell in bookshops, and they usually have rights for most of Image comics. So you want Image, you go directly to a bookstore. You want other comics, you might go also to a comic shop, but specialize its comic shop and find them there.
Nice.
So is Shit Kickers going to be available in Italy too, or is it just an American comic?
That all depends on how we do and how it goes.
Yeah.
How many issues are you looking to publish?
So we are working on issue 6 right now, and that's the last issue of this arc. Always open to more, but like you said, it's kind of dependent on how the crowdfunding goes and if we can build kind of a sustainable loop. My hope is to fulfill issues 1 and 2 and then come right back with issues 3 and 4, especially because we're so far along in production. There's not going to be any real, other than potential tariff struggles or printer issues or whatever it might be, like stuff out of our control. Like, we're ready to go to print. So I'm hopeful that we can, get all 6 issues out this year and see.
And you're distributing it yourself too?
Yeah, I mean, right now it's just going to be through the Zoop is where you can get floppies, or if you see us at a show, or you can we'll have it digitally, and that's kind of going to be it. Not sure on comic shop distribution. Of course, there is a retailer level for our Zoop campaign, so retailers can buy some issues wholesale if they want to sell them, and I'm happy to accommodate any retailers who want to reach out. But we're not, I'm not set up to go through Lunar or anything like that. When Diamond seems
Diamond, what? What's that?
Yeah, Diamond.
Question mark, I guess. So
that may be a better move right now.
You mentioned something that nobody's mentioned before, the tariff thing. How might the tariffs affect comic book production? I haven't really thought about that, honestly. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've been thinking about tariffs nonstop, but but how might that affect the comic book?
A lot of, if you look in the indicia of most comics, they're usually printed in Canada. A lot of indie creators maybe will print in China. If you like, Print Ninja is a popular indie comic print option, and they, in bulk, they print in China. So like all that kind of stuff is gonna impact things a great deal, particularly in terms of cover price. You know, talking about single issues, like they're already on average about $5 a piece. So if all of this stuff goes through, I wouldn't be surprised if they go up in price, which of course then squeezes the retailers, which, coupled with Diamond going bankrupt, it's pretty rough out there right now. So trying to find ways to, I don't want to say circumvent, because I think that obviously retailers are hugely important to this industry. But for someone who is self-publishing, I don't know that the startup costs of being able to distribute yourself is something that I'm capable of handling right now. So it seems like kind of taking a smaller reader by reader approach, where we can deliver our comics directly to the people who are supporting us, seems like the best approach for us in this situation. And, we're hopeful that maybe after putting out 6 issues on our own, a publisher will be like, hey, wow, they built an audience just doing this on their own. Maybe we should put out the trade, So
I don't see what happens. This couldn't be a fit for someone like Oni or Magma or, Boom even, Boom does some really interesting independent work.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. But for right now, we're just kind of taking it 2 issues at a time, and just going directly to the reader. And hopefully that pays off in the long run, as we do more projects and come to build some sort of reputation for delivering quality comics on time.
Yeah.
Even if it's a small print run or whatever it might be.
Well, and this is your first time self-publishing under that publishing company?
Under
Suit
No,
That?
I've been using it since like 2011. But this is the first one in a while, and sort of feels like a reinvention in terms of, before it was just kind of a label I put on stuff for things that I self-published. But this is a more intentional philosophy, and bringing in specific people to help me out with design and logos and all that sort of thing. So, it's just kind of the mantra, continuing what I think we talked about when we were on the show with Sean Von Gorman and The Pedestrian, which is just like, comics is about making cool shit with your friends.
Right.
And so Soup Dad is kind of, a manifestation of that in a lot of ways. Like my best friend since 7th grade was the editor on Shit Kickers. One of my closest friends designed our logo. So, working with people that I've worked with on other comics and bringing them in to help out. So it's just kind of like that philosophy, just kind of on a micro level.
Yeah.
Like, these are the people I want to like hang out with every day. So let's find something that we can all work on together.
Well, and plus the fact last time we had you on, you were just Joey Esposito, comic writer. Now you're Joey Esposito, co-creator of The Pedestrian, award-winning comic, The Pedestrian. So I don't know if that throws weight around for you now, because, I mean, in all honesty, The Pedestrian has really hit. You guys, I know you guys have been nominated for tons and tons of awards. We keep seeing them, and we keep putting them out on our Facebook page. Anytime we see you or Sean put it up there, we feel really happy that you guys are getting
we appreciate it.
You deserve.
Yeah, we're really hoping for the same for Shit Kickers.
Yeah,
it feels good. I think like it's just a matter of, I don't know. I feel like since The Pedestrian and working on Shit Kickers and some other projects that are coming up, I just, I've spent 10 to 15 years building like up to being able to release things fairly consistently, and it feels like it's all coming out right now, but it's just like all been in progress for over a decade.
Right.
In some one way or another. And so it feels good to like finally get things out the door instead of, texting cool art that I get to friends, because like there's nowhere else for it to go. So like, and Soup Dad is part of that, in terms of just oftentimes in comics you build a pitch proposal that includes a lot of great artwork and great covers, but also the heavy lifting of plotting an entire series and like doing synopsis and character descriptions, and just like a lot of upfront work that often is A, unpaid, and B, sometimes just sits on your hard drive forever because everyone said no. Yeah. And I don't think that necessarily means that the idea isn't good. Sometimes, sure. Sometimes, yeah, this idea sucks, and you shouldn't go with it. But sometimes there's an idea that you really love and isn't the right fit for various publishers. And so Soup Dad is just kind of like, instead of just filing that away and going into an archive forever, let's just make it ourselves and put it out however we can. Which is like not a new idea for indie comics, but it's just something that I sort of lost focus on in the effort to try to like get into the mainstream markets and things like that. Yeah. And I'm just not sure that it's that aspect of it is as important to me as it was when I was younger. And now I would just rather have like a catalog of work that I'm very proud of, regardless of how it got out there.
Right. That's awesome.
No, you set up for cool shit with your friends. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It always connects me back to my, I'm a big fan of punk rock, and I have been since, I was a kid, and it's one of the things I never outgrew, along with, horror films and comics.
Right.
that most people do grow out of. I just didn't.
Thus the YouTube
Thus,
channel.
here we are. But yeah, that idea of like, I just want to make something cool with my friends.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I would say
Yeah.
it's like it's a
Just
very
real simple.
very punk rock mentality that I try to keep because growing up similar interests and just like I've always been more attracted to a band or an artist or whoever that just like fucking does what they want
Mhm.
regardless of yeah, okay, we know that everyone else kind of didn't hate this, but we love this album and we're going to play it all the way through or,
Right.
or whatever, like that kind of idea. Or, David Lynch has come up a lot recently, both because he was a huge influence on Pedestrian, but then also his passing, has made me revisit a lot of stuff and just especially interviews and just him talking about his creative process and stuff. And I think his philosophy of just like, the art is the thing.
Yeah.
Is like I'm really internalizing that these days, and just he has a great anecdote about Van Gogh and how people assume Van Gogh is miserable because
I just saw this.
All of his stuff, and he's just like, actually the only time that Van Gogh was happy was when he was painting, and that's why he was doing it. And like keeping that in mind is like, this isn't torture, this isn't like, we're not like tortured artists that were like having a good time and doing the only thing, like this is like a compulsion almost to do this kind of stuff. And so I've been thinking about that a lot, especially since he passed, and just trying to kind of realign my own goals and priorities to match his level. Did
you ever read the essay that what David Foster Wallace wrote about David Lynch?
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's very good. If you can find it somewhere. I'm trying to remember where I saw it. I think it's in the Supposedly Fun Things I Never Do Again collection of essays. And he wrote that one of the best things that ever happened to David Lynch was that Dune failed. If Dune had succeeded, David Lynch would have been dragged into mainstream filmmaking, and he wouldn't have been able to create all the stuff he made after Dune. That was amazing, like Wild at Heart and Lost Highway and Mulholland Drive.
Right.
That would have kind of ruined all that. So in a sense, like being independent and being on your own and just being like, I'm just going to make this because this is what I like.
Yeah.
Kind of fueled a better thing,
Yeah, exactly. Right. And like, I've been visiting Room to Dream, the wild like biography about David Lynch that he's also just like, I'm listening to the audiobook, which is really fun because the author is like narrating the traditional chapters, and then Lynch himself is reading his in Boise, Idaho, and just like going off on his tangents. But like, it is interesting to hear him talk about like, even, I don't know, just rejecting like the common platforms or the studio system just because like, yes, it would make it easier to get money or promotion or whatever it might be. But also like every layer of that kind of takes away from the authorship of the thing. And not that I'm someone who, as Andrea will attest, I don't think like I'm not like a my word is God kind of creative person. Like I like the collaborative nature of it, but Lynch does too, but like avoiding sort of the pitfalls of the less fun side of things, of the marketing and the business, which is important, but not something that should mix with the creative process.
Shouldn't drive you.
Yeah. And so like, even like using Zoop over Kickstarter, I think is an example of that, where it's like not as big of a reach, maybe a little bit harder on our end to like make it happen. But I think ethically and philosophically, it aligns with what I want to do, and also like makes my life a little bit easier. So to me, that's worth the trade-off of like maybe not getting in front of as many random eyeballs as we would on Kickstarter.
But you want to get in front of people who are really going to love what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's ultimately more valuable in the long run than a fly-by-night, like, this looks cool, I'm going to back this, and then you send it to them, they probably never read it,
and it gets lost, and
whatever, and like maybe you get a name for your email list, but like
But they're not,
is that
they're not
really
looking at
worth?
your next thing. They don't care about what you're
Exactly.
working on.
Yeah.
So like I think trying to build a more dedicated sort of readership where they recognize that whatever we're doing is something that we're putting our all into, and we don't take their money lightly.
Mhm.
You know.
Good. Yeah.
So I don't know. That's all a lot of speak for like something that I could totally beef it and eat shit, but we'll see what happens.
No,
Well, that's
but-
part of it too, though.
Of
Like,
course that is.
it's
Yeah.
part of it. You know, you
You fail sometimes.
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true, and
You know?
you can't be afraid to do so.
Think
so-
about it. You're making comic books, you're doing it. We're two 52-year-old men who decided at some point in the last 2 years, you know what, we should do a YouTube channel because it's really good 50-year-olds to do YouTube channel.
Yeah, but,
Everyone
yeah.
wants to see two 52-year-olds do a YouTube channel.
But you know what? Are you having a good time?
Oh,
We love
we're having a great time.
Well,
Yeah.
that's all that matters.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
like you said about the whole Van Gogh thing, is like just do things that you make you happy. It's like a
Right.
new thing that I've jumped onto.
Except for, like you said, the whole part we have to market this, and this has to be, this actually
Sure.
This
Yeah,
actually
but
becomes
like
work. It has to be edited. It has to be marketed. It has to be.
but at least like it's for
He does,
something
but-
that you created,
Yes.
that you're passionate about, and not someone else's stupid bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, like there's enough stuff in life that we have to do that no one wants to do.
Yes.
Like the stuff we're doing for our own creativity or in our own time should not be something you don't enjoy.
Right.
You know,
That's
and whatever that might be, whether it's creating stuff or playing video games, I don't care. It's just
Brian
you know,
made me read a book by Rick Rubin about creativity and how
interesting.
creativity should be viewed and how it's not really viewed like that anymore.
Yeah,
It's about it's that whole YouTube and all that other kind of stuff mentality where it's you want to be somebody.
everything is content,
Yeah.
and everything is like
right.
Because
Yeah, like-
for us, and the funny part for us is that my personal favorite part of this YouTube channel is this. I love this. I love talking to creators and hearing about comic books, and ultimately I end up going and buying it. But our viewers, these do not do well viewer wise.
yeah, I get it.
where if I get on and do some some silly short about a recent comic book or some movie, it will get couple of thousand views. This is perfect. This is for
Yeah.
us. This is
Yeah,
we have people on that we want to talk to, that we want to learn more about.
I'd be curious from Andreas' point of view. Do you have the same problem where you are with this push and pull between sort of art and commerce, or is it not really as considered? Because here it's like you have this idea of like you could write for specific audiences, specific demographics, even if you don't enjoy it, and you might make a decent living, but you might be unhappy. I just wonder if is there a different perspective there?
I don't know about the different perspective because the world actually runs pretty much the same to today. So, I've been asked quite a few times what my real job is. So I don't know if that answers your questions about
That's an odd
creativity
question.
against. Yeah. So that's something that's come up time and time again. Even, my parents back when I was younger were a bit hesitant about the whole thing. Okay, are you sure? But maybe you should have a plan B ready. Maybe you should get a degree, which I got, just to play it safe, just in case it didn't work out. And, going back to what Joy was saying, fuck it, man. I'm going to do it anyways. I don't care if it's wrong. This is me. This is who I am. This is what I need to do to breathe and live, really. So again, going back to your question, commerce versus creativity. It's fun. It's funny, actually, because in a world where everybody has to be somebody, everybody has to make it. Everybody has to put out some content at the right time for the right demographic. Everybody is about the result and putting that result out there. And I think we are losing track of what the process is. Yeah. Just like you guys, you're recording this, you're talking to a couple of creators who are pretty niche, if you will. Yeah. I'm sorry, Joey. But,
that's accurate.
No, okay, come on. You're a bigger star than I am here. But it's about the process.
Nobody in comics is a star. I'll tell you that right now.
Okay. I mean, you have to think. We should all go back to thinking and enjoying the process of doing things. And I wouldn't be doing this job. I wouldn't be sitting at this chair for the long hours, really, for days and days, without even seeing sunlight. And Joey knows about that. If I didn't love doing it, not just having the end result in my hand, which is cool. I mean, when I get comps from the UK or the United States, sure, it's cool. I mean, it's a product. I've got something to show for what I've been doing all along. But the process, that's where it really is. And, doing this as a creator-owned book against selling it as an IP, as we try to do actually, has been a revelation for me too. Because the moment we got off our deal, our previous deal, we had to publish this through a regular publisher, if you will. And the moment that me and Joey actually started thinking about crowdfunding, doing it ourselves, I sort of came to terms with something that I felt the need to be doing all along. Shit Kickers has evolved. Stylistically and artistically speaking, it's evolved a lot from the very first issues, which were traditional, to the very last issue that I'm working on right now, issue 6, which is entirely digital. But putting that aside, I've been experimenting with what I want to get on a page, what I want to communicate, the way I want to draw, the way I see the world even. And I know this might be a bit too on the nose, but it's true. It's true for me, at least. I am the kind of person. I am the kind of hard-thinking, overthinker, if you will. And doing this way, doing this with friends, doing this with this kind of approach has really been a revelation and has really been liberating and invigorating. And it's been really helping me build up some confidence even in my own art and my own identity as an artist, and if you will, as a person, more in general, because again, this is what I need to do to feel alive in a way.
Yeah. Wow. I love that answer. I really do. That makes me so happy to hear that.
It's a great answer. And I something that you said, Andreas, stuck with me, which I want to say is that, with the caveat that I am not a parent, but it seems to me, and I got this advice also, is that when you are, when a kid is expressing they want to go into the arts of some kind, and then being told, okay, but better have something to fall back on, is fucking terrible advice. And it drives me insane. And like that, I was been processing this a lot lately, because it was part of process for the pedestrian, and thinking a lot about growing up where I grew up and all this stuff. But like that really kind of seeped into me, I think, with this idea that like you need to have a safety net first. You need to like be stable. You need to like have a day job that, maybe you hate, but is allowing you to pay rent, especially in my early 20s, which is the time that I should have just been like flying by the seat of my pants and hoping that I can, make it that week, and creating more art. Like I was playing in a rock band during that time, and then I quit that band to like move elsewhere for a job that I thought would be, the right thing to do. And I regret that, not that I think that I would have made a living as a musician or anything, but like I feel like I missed out on some cool experiences because I was too afraid to like just dive in fully. And I credit, the something to fall back on mentality that sort of wormed its way into my brain for that. But I think, I don't know, trying to break away from that. And I say this as, a 40-year-old, and it's a very different world now. And I don't know what the future holds with all of the bullshit we're dealing with, not just like politically, but even just like AI and all this stuff. Which is just like devaluing the process, as Andrea mentioned. I don't know. I think it's just important to try to stay focused on if you're a creative person and you're just like, that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. I just think it's really important that we don't deter people from following that path, but also if someone is trying to deter you from that path, just fucking right through them. You know
Right
what I
away.
mean?
Blast
Like,
their dicks off.
blast their dicks off, get out of there. You know, like I just like we were talking about, it's better to give it a shot and fail miserably than
Yeah.
to just like be too scared to ever try. And whether that's making comics or making films or whatever you want to do, I just think, you know, having a safety net is maybe a dangerous game to play at a certain point. But I think if you're young enough and you have the means to just work at a coffee shop for a little bit and work on art the rest of the time,
Yeah.
do it as long as you can, you know?
See, I told you we should quit our job and just do this full time. You keep telling me no.
This is not legal advice. So just
Joey Eposito told me I can quit I'm telling my wife right after this interview. I was told I could
I'll take that hit.
quit my job and move into. So my question for you is, who do you picture playing the main roles when you option this for a movie?
Myself.
There you go.
Both characters.
Both characters. The voice of
Timothy Chalamet.
Timothy Chalamet.
You'll do it like Eddie Murphy did the Clump. So you play every character.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would like most things. If asked about a comic book adaptation, I would much rather see this as animation.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I guess I haven't really thought about it.
This would be a beautiful animated series based on Andrea's designs. This
I
would be
agree.
great.
It would work perfectly.
Yeah. Could make a good cartoon.
Yeah, that's
Agreed.
the option
That would
part of
be
comic books is the
cool.
part that always, I think, as a longtime comic book lover, that it's not something we ever really thought about. And then we've talked to a number of creators, and they talk about how options works, and we were very shocked at how that actually works.
Yeah, for so many people, it's almost a source of passive income.
Yeah,
Nothing gets made, but they just keep
But they
getting
just
paid
get
for it.
paid for it.
yeah, can be. The problem now is like people don't pay as really for options at a certain level, so it's just like another version of a lot of upfront work for potentially no reason.
Yeah.
Right.
So
But to us, it seems like they just want to own your thing. Like, I want to option your thing. I own it. I can do whatever I want. If I don't want to do anything with it after 2 years, it runs out, and then you can do that again. And
I mean, listen, if you're getting passive income for that, I'm on board. I would rather. I'm going to be very controversial, and this doesn't go for any of my co-creators.
Mhm.
So but I would say I would much rather get passive income for something that never gets made than to like have to deal with an adaptation of something that I made that I don't like.
Actually, I completely
You know what I
agree with
mean?
you on that one.
I would rather like something just stays in development hell for 10 years and I make like a few grand or whatever
Yeah.
than earning a lot more money for something that's a piece
Right.
of shit.
Then deal with the kind of
the repercussions of it not being what you envisioned it.
being an Alan Moore fan, I always fall back on his reaction to all the stuff that's been made from his stuff.
Yeah.
Can you imagine just having to be like, oh, why is Sean Connery Alan Quartermain?
Right.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh my
And, like,
God, Will Smith is playing the pedestrian. What did I do?
Yeah. No, hang on. That's interesting. I don't think that he would sign on knowing that he would never have a line.
Right.
But I think like physically, I think that would be interesting.
They look at. I jumped right there. Will Smith as the pedestrian.
But yeah, like I know I love Alan Moore, and fans will often give him a hard time because of that stuff. But
No.
I'm just like, yeah, I get it.
Right.
No.
And I think it's awesome that when he doesn't take anything from Watchmen and gives it all to Dave Gibbons or what, just like he's not actively talking shit really anymore. He's just kind of like
No, he just writes
removed
novels
himself.
now.
Yeah, like that's awesome. He's just doing what makes him happy.
Yep.
That's great.
So with Shit Kickers, are you going to be doing a lot of shows coming up to promote and to sell?
Right now, I think Sean and I will be at C2E2.
Okay.
So hopefully we'll have, if the timeline works out, I should have copies of Shit Kickers with me. But TBD on the rest of the year. Last year was a pretty heavy show year for me, and I don't love to travel. and
Yeah.
seemingly more dangerous to travel these days. So
Yeah. What's going on?
Car.
yeah, so
Travel by car.
TBD.
To Italy.
To Italy.
Italy, yeah.
Because I know right now Sean is doing like a whole comic shop tour with the pedestrian.
Yeah.
Yeah, he loves to get around for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has one coming this coming weekend. He has one.
Yeah.
And again, I feel like the stupid American asking these questions. But Andrea, do you do shows in Italy? Do you have?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have
Convention?
tons of those.
Yeah.
Tons of those, really.
Mhm.
Even locally, my own town, and it's a very small town, as one. So really,
Nice.
we have a lot of those. They might not be as big, maybe as New York Comic Con or San Diego, that's for sure. But Lucca, for example, Lucca Comics and Games,
Yeah.
that's probably the biggest that we have, and we bring in really people from all over the world. So even American artists, American writers, and all. But it's also evolved into this multimedia kind of event. So much like your own conventions. So it's all about TV series being promoted, video games, pavilions, and really we have everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're not really fans of, like, we go to big conventions, but we're not fans of big conventions. I like small conventions. I much prefer smaller ones that are, focused mostly on comics.
Yeah. Especially if you're there for like actually shopping for comics.
Yeah.
Yes.
And not having to fight through crowds and stuff.
I hate New York Comic Con.
New York Comic Con has become a nightmare.
It's rough.
We were talking to Matthew Rosenberg not that long ago.
Mhm.
We were talking about the old conventions. I don't know if you, Joe. I
I
don't know.
grew up in New York.
Yeah, you know New York. Yeah. So, did you ever go to the conventions that used to be at the Penta Hotel across from Penn
The Big
Station?
Apple.
The Big
Big Apple Con. I've been to Big Apple
Everyone.
Con.
Yeah, those were so, I miss those. Those are the nicer kind of conventions. They were in New York City, but they weren't like this choking, like, thing. Like you could just walk around and talk to people, and it was nice.
The multimedia aspect. It's very cool.
So
I met Kane there. It was really weird.
Mhm.
Like have everything, like you go to a convention and you see whoever the actor is, Anthony Mackie, and Anthony Mackie's sitting there at his table, and he's Anthony Mackie. He's not the Falcon or Captain America. Kane was dressed as Kane, and it was really weird. Walking into his room, and he's dressed as Kane. Like, wait,
right? I've told
at least he wasn't the racist mayor yet.
Yeah.
Oof.
My Big Apple Con celeb was Linda Hamilton. I think that was a Big Apple Con.
Oh,
That was a good one. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Oh,
mine was Frank Miller, and I thought that was a good one. Linda Hamilton is a great one.
I met Guar and Jim Lee
Together?
the same show.
This is,
If only. Wouldn't it have been awesome? If like Odorous from Guar was carrying Jim Lee around the convention, that would have been amazing. My head would have exploded.
Well, I've met Jim Lee. He could probably carry him. So
Yeah.
he's not the tallest guy, that's for sure.
Carrying him on a litter, like an emperor.
I actually have one more shit kickers question. So I love the small details in things, and whose idea was it for crushing Flora's lava?
That's on me.
Because
That's me playing around.
There are a lot of
that's me
jokes in the
fooling around.
background.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I stopped when I was reading, and I put the book down just to laugh, because I was like, that is a awesome. And then in the next panel, he kicks the sign, and I would say 99% of people who read it are going to not even notice this. But I was like, this is really paying attention to what you're doing with your art.
Yeah.
Andrea adds
that is
a lot
me,
of
really.
cool,
I appreciate
a lot
it.
of great background stuff.
Yeah, a lot of great. I was actually trying to figure out Hatch 7. Does it have any meaning?
I don't know.
No, actually, no. It's the number 7 has actually come up in most stories that I've done with this weird paneling on a door or on a wall. So no, not really. I just needed to fill that space with something, and I thought, okay, Hatch 7, there it goes. Okay. There it is.
I have an answer for you going forward. So if you ever do another interview and someone asks you what Hatch 7 is, how I want you to answer it is, I want you to say Hatch 7 is actually a very important term in fly fishing.
Is it?
Yeah, because when I saw it on your thing, I went and looked it up, and I was like, Hatch 7 has to have some kind of meaning in some kind of old sci-fi movie. What does Hatch 7 mean? And the only thing that comes up is Hatch 7 is an important move in fly fishing.
No, no, no. I'm not that into fishing, so I
So
wouldn't
there you
know.
go. You're that's how
Yeah.
that's where
But
it came
I'm
from.
gonna use that next time I
So use
pass
that.
the
Yes,
question.
it's a
Yeah.
very important term in fly fishing, and
That's great.
I went and looked. So I was like, after it comes like 2 panels after, or 2 or 3 pounds after the sign, and I was like, oh, I bet you that's. I really thought it through and stopped reading the comment and put it down. Like, hatch. What does hatch seven mean? It's
Wouldn't it be funny if all of a sudden, for like no reason at all, like a whole bunch of fly fishermen become huge fans of
Shit
chick
kicker.
kickers? And like,
I'll take it. I'll take it. Yeah. No, I mean, I'm usually we always kick with Joey. I'm quite the overthinker. So every page is actually laid out in a way that I always know where the doors are. So our character goes into the place, how it's getting out, how an hatch works, how why the signs does. So I'm always thinking ahead of stuff like that, and it's funny because there's in that panel that you talked about in issue 1. The elevator one, when it opens, there's these squid tentacles flying all over.
Yeah.
And I remember in the script, there was no squid. So Joy asks for some rodents, I believe, some sort of chimera between a rodent and a squid with tentacles, something weird. And I was like, oh man, I really don't want to draw all those mice all around. No, I'd rather just draw a couple of tentacles, which are always fun to draw, and call it a day.
yeah.
It was just a stupid joke on my end. And it evolved into a plot point for issue 6.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
That's a mild spoiler, let's say that, but
Okay.
it's gonna come back to bite a particular character in the ass.
Nice.
And it's only, it was born from my deranged mind just because I didn't want to draw some mice, but at the same time, it goes to show how closely me and Joy have worked on this all along. So we really developed this together. It wouldn't exist in this shape and form if we didn't work this closely, and if we didn't really if we didn't become friends as the years went by. We've been doing this for 4 years now.
Yeah.
And it's I'm gonna miss the book once I'm done with issue 6, that's for sure. And we already have some ideas for a possible continuation, but as we were saying, it
Fly
all
fishing,
goes
right? The next one's going to be all about.
absolutely.
How to fly
You have the scoop here. That's what's coming next. Yeah.
So I don't know if you heard that part, but as I was reading it, I was hatch 7 pops up at one point,
Yeah.
and
Oh.
the way my brain works, I was like, oh, that has to mean something. Sci-fi, it has to be an important thing from an old sci-fi thing. Let me look it up and we'll see what it is. And the only thing hatch 7 comes up as it's a move in fly fishing. So it's the hatch 7 move in fly. So we're like, all right, so it's
It's all connected. Yeah.
Yeah.
Big fly fishing fan.
big fly fishing.
So you may want to drive to the LL Bean store in Freeport, is it?
Mhm.
And
Sure
drop
is.
off a few copies of
There
shit
you go.
kickers.
Let me just show you something that I got for Christmas this year. This LL Bean gift
Oh,
card
look
that
at
I'm
that.
going to go use there.
You are going
So,
fly fishing.
I am indeed in Maine.
So just review everything. Where can everyone find copies of Shit Kickers? Where can they support you before it ends? And this will come out. People will be watching this next Tuesday because they need time to edit. So it will give them, I think, 2 more days.
A few more days to check us out on Zoop. So just find us on Zoop and throw us a couple of bucks. We got lots of cool. You can get physical copies of the book. You can get physical copies of the Declan Shalvey and Seth Nimus variant covers. You can get an art print. You can get enamel pins that Andrea designed. You can get a sticker sheet. Lots of cool stuff. And you can also read issue 1 for free on Global Comics.
Yeah, I'm going to do the 85 one when we finish this interview because I want physical copies.
Yeah.
So-
Thank you.
So you're this much closer now.
Yes.
Getting there.
Inching along.
All right, well, you want to do rapid fire? Did you have those?
Sure, I always have those.
Okay.
Okay,
We
so
always end these episodes with rapid fire questions for creators.
Okay.
So, well, I guess
Crack my knuckles.
you guys could decide
you can each answer. You can
however
each give
who
me.
answers first.
No, you could. Yeah, who decide to answer first. So this is my rapid fire, and sometimes I use the same ones over and over again. Sometimes I come up with new ones. So the first rapid fire question is there any creator that you would like to work with, deceased or living?
Andre, you go first.
Sadly deceased Darwin Cook.
Darwin Cook.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Good one.
I'm stealing his answer.
Darwin Cook.
Yeah,
yeah.
I tell you, I go back to read that JLA book
That's a
he did
that
so
JLA
many
book is
times.
great.
Like once a year, it's one of the ones I reread. The New Age,
New Frontier.
The New
Yeah.
Frontier. Thank you, New
Frontier.
Frontier.
Absolutely.
Ah,
fantastic.
so
great.
good.
I would also throw Jim Aparo on there.
That's another good one. Yeah,
That's a good one too.
he's a good Batman artist.
Yeah.
The best.
Second question is there what character would you like to work on,
That you have not worked on.
living or deceased?
Joey?
Superman.
Superman. Good one.
Mhm.
Green Lantern.
Green
There you go.
Lantern. All right.
Yeah.
Try and make that.
Now, Joe, you wouldn't want to do a Star Wars one?
I mean, listen, I would be absolutely down. But I also feel like I am more nervous to tackle Star Wars than I am anything else because I love it so much.
Okay.
You know,
You could do like a side story on a minor character.
Greedo.
Not Greedo. No,
Oh,
like
sorry.
I was thinking, who's the little guy who's sick with
Snaggletooth.
Jabba? The little
Nice Noodle.
no, that's the musician. Who's the
Salacious
little guy
Crumb?
who laughs?
Oh,
The-
Silas Crumb.
Silas Crumb. You could do Silas Crumb origin story.
yeah.
Right. It would fit with the like kind of Sesame Street work he did.
I would do a story about his thirst for droid eyeballs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Another question, and this is a new one because we did an interview recently and it just completely sparked my interest in this. Who would you team up if you could with Archie?
Oh yeah, we would do the Archie crossover thing.
A great question.
Get to write
Spawn.
Archie. Spawn. Oh,
Spawn. Ooh,
Oh,
that's a good one.
I'm really not sure about this one. I think I'll pass.
Okay.
just say Green Lantern again. And
Dylan Dog.
Okay.
Oh, Dylan Dog meets Archie.
All right. I'll take it. Dylan Dog. Yeah. Why not?
And my final question is, I'm actually going to use this. We're working on another video. Who do you think should play Batman in the next live action movie?
Oh man. John Hamm. Still,
Ooh,
Okay.
that's a good show. He'd be a great Bruce Wayne.
I agree.
Yeah,
You know, a little older,
yeah,
just a little more experience.
yeah. That's I like that.
Something different.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll go with Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, I'm of the idea that they should bring the Batman in.
Okay.
Yeah,
The new shared universe. I think it was such a big hit, and it was such. Robert Pattinson was great in the role, so much so that having another Batman, a parallel Batman at this time would be too confusing, especially with Marvel doing the whole variant things.
yeah,
So I think they should really stick with that one. It's not probably going to happen because of Matt Reeves and his will to keep creative control of what he's doing, creating his own niche, creating his own world, which we actually talked about during this hour. But yeah, I think that he would be the best option right now. I mean, I loved him specifically. Yeah. I didn't love everything about the Batman, but him specifically as an actor, I think he really was great in it.
yeah.
I didn't like him as an actor until that movie with the brother. Where
Good time.
That he was amazing in that movie.
Good time. Yeah, no good one.
And it changed the way I looked at him from the Twilight days.
Yeah,
Nothing I love more than like a teen heartthrob actor becoming like, you know, a distinguished like,
Yeah.
oh shit, this guy's the real deal actor.
yeah.
So I felt the
that.
same way about a guy who played a Mr. Mom, and then he became like this Batman character.
Yeah, he became pretty big deal.
Comedian who becomes Batman. Who would know? Who would know that? Who would know that? Thank you both for being on.
Yeah.
Really appreciate
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
This is a
so
blast.
guys-
Doing us brilliant.
Everyone out there, go check it out. Find shit kickers. Throw some money at these guys. We really need the rest of the series out.
Yeah. Especially
Please do.
if I get the first two issues, and now we need to complete.
Yeah,
Yeah, we know that you're a collector. This is how we get you.
You certainly do.
absolutely, absolutely.
Is there anything else you want to promote before we go besides Ship Kickers? Anything else coming out?
The first volume of The Pedestrian is now out in trade paperback at all fine book and comic book stores. So please snag that. And
I
hopefully
tell
there's
people
more
about
on the
that,
way.
Joe. If you're not reading The Pedestrian yet, you're not a comic book fan.
Thank you so much. That means a lot.
Go pick. We were at the comic store we were at with them. There were some people there who had never heard of it, and we were like, don't hesitate. Pick it up, grab it right now from him.
Well, it sounds like we got a street team, so I appreciate that.
We only promote stuff we like.
And Andrea, is there something else we could look for other than Chick Kickers?
Well, there are a couple of things that are coming out actually that I worked on last year that have already been funded, and a few books that haven't actually been announced yet. So I'll just pass again, and
we know
people
how
can
that
look
works.
me up on socials. Yeah, and wait for those announcements.
Find you on social media then.
And we appreciate that because we have had people on who tell us about those and then immediately afterwards email us and go, you cannot put that on.
Please edit that out. Yeah.
Please do not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We appreciate when you don't tell us something because it becomes a pain in the ass to edit it out.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you again.
Thank you for giving us all this time. We really appreciate it.
Of course. Anytime.
Guys, as you know, you
Great
have
conversation as always.
you're welcome here anytime you want. Anytime you want to promote something or, just to chat about comic books and you know, your obsession with Star Wars, anything, like
Absolutely.
Or Green Lantern.
or Green Lantern.
Yeah.
But he's
Green Lantern. Yeah.
but we will definitely see you soon.
Mm-hmm.
Take care of yourselves.
Yeah. Good luck with
Right.
it.
Thank
Bye,
you, guys.
Oh, you know what?
Nice to see you.
You could actually edit this out.
I
But,
will end it there.
my friend Megan Picaro wanted me to say hi, Joey.
Hi.
Megan from the Muppets podcast.
Oh, okay. Got
Doug's
it.
friend.
Okay. So do you know Doug also?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Small world.
Very small.
Yeah, they had me.
He's one of the first comic shops we actually
Visited with the geekery
on our show.
Oh, nice. I haven't been able to get to the store yet for obvious reasons, but they've been super supportive of Pedestrian, and doing their Muppets pod was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Let's talk about dinosaurs.
Brian did it too.
I did it too. I was on the
Oh, you did?
I was on the Labyrinth episode.
Sweet.
Huge Labyrinth and David Bowie fan. So
Yeah, there you go. Awesome. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Well, you can tell her I said hi back.
I will.
It's a small world, isn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah, I would. You should reach out to him. He would definitely sell shit kickers. No question about that.
He may have purchased the one of the retailer.
I imagine he probably
he's
did.
he's
Tiers,
great
yeah.
for the comic book industry. He's
He's a good dude.
Yeah.
we appreciate what he does too. So, all right, good. All right, we will definitely see. Let us know if you're going to be doing conventions in the area, and
Okay.
if you come to the States, let us know. We
Yeah.
I'm gonna get him to Maine.
they,
Get him to me.
I will, man. I will.
you have to
Right.
look at all that snow. I don't think so. So,
You guys take care. It's great
Thanks,
to see
guys.
you.
We'll
All right.
see you
Thank you
soon.
again.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Take care. Bye.